and welcome to this video, the fifth in Publishing Perspectives series about this year's special edition of the Frankfurt Book Fair. This was the first ever digital Frankfurt Book Fair, took place last week, and there were around 200,000 users tuning in from around the world. I'm Hannah Johnson, publisher of book trade magazine Publishing Perspectives, and I am here with Juergen Boos, the director of the Frankfurt Book Fair, and Porter Anderson, editor-in-chief of Publishing Perspectives, to talk about how this year's fair went and where we go from here. So, Juergen and Porter, you guys must be tired after a long week, but thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So, Juergen, I want to start with you. Do you think that the team in Frankfurt accomplished what you all set out to do with the digital fair this year?
Yeah, it's been a tough 6 months, to prepare for the digital fair. We've been working on a format for our industry, really, and we've been working on formats for the general audience. So we had always to go both ways, and I think it really worked out quite well. Yeah, the conference formats were well attended, as far as I know from now. Yeah, we had up to 3,000 people were registered for the rights platform. What has happened there, I don't know, because this is confidential, obviously. So, but at least there were 3,000 people attending, using this platform. And on the side of the audience, we reached out to a few million people, really. There was the help of German television, social media. We used all the channels. We had a wonderful program in place. And I think we went where no one went ever before.
That's certainly true. This year, I mean, as the first digital Frankfurt Book Fair, definitely. This is a question for both of you, and maybe Juergen and then Porter can answer. I think, do you have any moments or experiences that stood out from last week's discussions and meetings in particular that you want to point out as impactful or important to you?
I think for me, it was the opening was quite impressive, having all the politicians here, but especially the speech of David Grossman was very important to me. Yeah, he's a very political writer, but he's also a writer who's going to touch your heart, and so this was very special for me. Another moment which had nothing to do or little to do with books was Chili Gonzalez, a Canadian musician, who wrote a book about Enya and himself. So this was a very special moment as well, which you wouldn't expect in Frankfurt. And then again, the 28 hours of broadcasting on Saturday. Yeah, I think this was everything from cookbooks to political books to trade. Everything was presented like Frankfurt usually is. Yeah, it's a mix of everything.
Yeah, no, David Grossman's speech was fantastic. He's an amazing writer and also a really good, he delivered the speech so well. I thought the emotional impact of it was fantastic. Porter, what stood out to you from the week?
You know, there were so many moments, and you started seeing incredible things happening from the very beginning too. On one of our very first panels, our Publishing Perspectives talks, we had such enormous, how would I say it, congenial repartee among our speakers. I mean, here was Michael Tamblyn from Kobo sitting in Toronto. And we had Kristen McLean from the NPD group. She's in Miami. And within minutes, they were each doing this to let me know they wanted to say something. And we were popping around as if we were sitting on the art stage ourselves. It was extraordinary. And this was very heartening to me because as we're starting to realize we've got a ways to go in the world of Zoom so far, we're not coming out as fast as we all wish we would. And we're getting better at this. In some way, we're all learning to bust through the little boxes that make us look like we're on the Brady Bunch and actually speak to each other when we're ready and converse and go back and forth. This was good. So just the sheer repartee was great to see. In the CEO talk, though, I heard the most astonishing thing that captured for me something I hadn't been able to put together. One of our CEOs joining us in the conference on Publishing Insights. This was on Wednesday. For our CEO group was Sophie de Closet, who is the CEO Arnaud Nourri put into Les Éditions Fayard to lead that company a few years ago. And Sophie said that one of the most disturbing and yet energizing elements of her market right now is the anger that is driving purchases. And for some reason, this had not gotten through to me as clearly as she was making it resonate for us all. What she's saying is that in such a politically charged era, people are dashing out and buying books almost in defiance to say, I'm going to read this because this is something I think is important. And the question is, how do we help them burst out of their bubbles? How do we in the publishing world help them read something that isn't necessarily the echo chamber of exactly what they want to hear from a given author or a given source? And I thought that was fascinating. And then one other thing I'll mention before I hand it back to you was during the Hoff on Friday evening, I was invited to come and speak to the group. And it was my only chance, unfortunately, to get to the Hoff, which was an extraordinary experience. And when I got into our breakout sessions, so that I was speaking to maybe 12 folks at a time, I heard from so many people who have never been to Frankfurt. They're publishing people. They had watched the entire week. They were talking about getting up at 3 a.m, wherever they are in the world, to see things, sticking with it for 8 hours at a time, just really going through it. And they said that, well, number one, it makes them want to come physically. They want to be at the next physical fair if there's any way they can do it. But number two, that for the first time, they felt tied into Frankfurt, which is good for all of us to hear. You know, we work with Frankfurt every year. We work all year with Frankfurt. And we are Frankfurt. And we forget that until this experience, we weren't able to actually reach out to people who have never walked across the Agora with us. And this was very impressive. It was thrilling to hear this.
Yeah, I think it's been really great that the fair can reach so many more people. And I think, you know, for me, one of the things that stood out the most was just signing on to Facebook or Instagram and seeing how many people were posting their Frankfurt memories on social media and sharing with the community the sense that they're missing it. So people posting, you know, everything from pictures with their Frankfurt buddies to pictures of like ice cream and you know, sausages and food that they're eating, but every detail of the Frankfurt experience kind of adds up to this sense of community and feeling that is clearly still really strong, and people are really missing it. So I know I was missing all the people that I know, and I really hope that we get to see each other again soon. This is hard to be on Zoom all the time.
Yes, but you're putting your finger on it. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Porter, what are you hearing from your contacts about how the digital fair was received?
Big surprise, and a good one, is that I'm hearing a lot of people tell me that the messaging unit, the B2B, what do we call it? The matchmaking facility was extremely good and efficient. And I have to tell you, I mean, you know, jaded tech guy that I am from CNN.com and everything else, I was sort of, oh gosh, I hope this works. You know, I hope it's not just kind of a chat board thing or something. They were impressed. They had met people they didn't expect to meet, which is one of the things that these one fellow from Egypt, a publisher from Egypt, was saying that one of the things he was afraid he'd miss is the serendipity of walking through a hall and getting to a stand you didn't even know was there and going, my God, this is fascinating. He said he was able to have a couple of those experiences in the matchmaking tool, which is great. This is really good to hear. So to their surprise and to mine, this was really functioning well. I had one lady from New Zealand talking about the fact that she had had several conversations now with new colleagues with whom she's trying to start trading some material, which is great. They're going to do some rights trades, exchanges, if you will. This was good to hear. A Mexican publisher said she had had the same experience. So for me, one of the greatest things to hear, aside from, in fact, the numbers we had this morning, particularly on the rights, Frankfurt Rights at that platform, but to hear that the meeting maker, the matchmaker, was working so well for folks, because that is probably the closest we could have gotten to the chance to run into somebody in the hallway, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think that's also one of the challenges of digital is figuring out how to facilitate these new connections. I mean, Andrew Nurnberg during the rights track of the Frankfurt conference said, you know, digital works great for meeting people you already know, but it's really a challenge for meeting new people that you might not know about or finding the new connections. So it's good to hear.
And that was my
people are able to
fear.
use-
I would have agreed with Andrew. I would have said, yeah, you're absolutely right. This
Yeah.
actually proved me wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong in this case.
So Juergen, looking back over the week and looking at these numbers and these impressions and the feedback that you're getting from customers, what's the process for evaluating all of this? This is a huge amount of data to put together and lots of information to collect. So how are you going about figuring out what the results are?
Yes, it's a completely different process than the previous years. Actually, now what you've been saying, we have to collect a lot of data, yeah, to get them from German television, from other television stations, to get these data, which we do not have or do not own, yeah. So this will take some time, and then we have to develop our own process of evaluating. But since we can't do this in our ivory tower, actually, we have to talk to a lot of people in the next weeks to come. So we are setting up, we're going to start next week, setting up meeting with our customers, yeah, representing the communities we have, from children's to German language, to English, to whatever. And we have to talk to the people about their experience. And then we have to combine numbers and this experience, we have to evaluate, and we have to see where this year's experiment has been driving us to, yeah, and what we can use next year when we are going to be physical again. But we were going to need the digital now as well to support the physical and to prepare the physical and to reach out to more people. Yeah, in the digital world, you're not staying for 5 days in Frankfurt, but you're staying hopefully forever. So we have to come up with new ideas. We have to talk to our people, to our customers all over the world, and bring all of this together. And hopefully by the end of the year, early next year, we can announce what's going to happen in 21.
I mean, it's certainly a change from the usual routine of, people registering for next year's fair at the end of the current fair. So planning the 2021 physical fair might even be different, right?
Yeah,
or at least the
difficult,
timeline
yeah.
will be different.
Yeah, we also have to see what our friends are doing. I had a meeting with 25 book fair directors 2 days ago virtually. Yeah, it's our book fair directors club, and it's quite interesting. And I'm wondering whether will London take place? I haven't read anything, yeah, because it's quite early in the year. Leipzig has moved to May already. Sharjah is taking place obviously now in the next few days, which is quite exciting to see. And so I'm trying to get a clear picture by these customer reviews, but also by talking to my fellow colleagues all over the world, what we can do to support publishing all over.
Yeah, Sharjah is taking place in a physical fair in starting November 4. Do you think the physical edition will take place?
If it can take place in a safe environment, yeah, and I'm sure it should take place, yeah, because we need these physical events as well to reach out to the audience and to the readers. And Sharjah is also about selling and buying books, yeah. Yeah, it's not only a rights place, but it's mostly to reach out to the UAE readers, and they need this, yeah, after months of lockdown. So I do hope for the best that it can take place, yeah, under all these pandemic regulations, and I wish them all the best, yes.
And Juergen, I mean, people probably know, but Frankfurt organizes a lot of events and book fair stands throughout the year. You organize German collective stands at tons of international book fairs. You organize events in different countries. What's the outlook for all of these things right now?
For the next few months, all of this is going to be digital, yeah. You know, we are in a private-public partnership with the German Foreign Office, and we have to promote German culture, and we have to help German publishers sell rights. But we also we try to train people all over the world in the world of publishing. So a lot of these things, like our fellowship program this year, the invitation program, took place digital, yeah? And they are still meeting now, and they built up a new network. So for the next few months, I'm going to see a lot of digital events. Yeah, we're planning a large event dealing with cross content for Jakarta. We'll let you know in time. But, and we're also going to be guest of honor Germany abroad. So, but we have to deal with this pandemic. We don't know. Yeah, but now we can choose, yeah, whether hybrid, yeah, whether purely digital. Yeah, I think we're never going to back to just physical.
Well, it seems at least that now that we've got the digital Frankfurt Book Fair behind us, that there's some experience. We know a little bit more what to expect from a digital event. Does that make it easier looking ahead at some of these other events to figure out how to approach them?
Yeah, actually, I think this is a learning curve. Yeah, we have to adjust this. Now we have this experience for this year, and every event which is coming up will give us more experience, and we can adjust it and see how it fits what the community needs.
Yeah. Porter, any final thoughts about this year's digital fair before we wrap up? Any last things you would like to add or point out that were noteworthy or newsworthy?
Yeah, oh, sure. And I think to Juergen's good point, what we're seeing from this is an understanding on the part of the world publishing community that we, like everyone, do have to follow the science. We can't get ahead of our skis. We can't get too much pandemic fatigue, as it's called, going and trying things that are not safe. But the great news is that having had this experience last week with the Frankfurt Book Messe in the special edition, we now know that we can do so much more digitally than we expected. And this is good news. I think all of us were holding our breaths to see how well it would go. And this is certainly outstripped my expectations. I heard one Australian agent saying that she wants to have that matchmaking tool with her next year when she walks through the halls physically. She wants to bring what we've done with her. And that, I mean, you could not have a better signal of what people are experiencing. And in terms of trends, I thought that our good friend from the Borsenverein, Schmidt Fredericks, help me with her first name, Karen. Karen made the most wonderful point. She was saying that we are even in this mode having to remember that the outer entertainments, if you will, are competing with us. What I think the digital Frankfurt did was make that clearer to all of us, because suddenly we ourselves, the world of books, had gone digital. And so what happens on your phone when the films come in and television comes in and music comes in, we were coming in on the phone. And this is an extraordinary moment for us to understand that juxtaposition and that competition in a way that maybe we haven't been able to yet so far, because we hadn't gotten closely. And as close as we did. And lastly, I'll just say quickly, I was thrilled to hear diversity, from Bernardine Evaristo's terrific keynote to what Jonathan Karp didn't she? It was just electrifying. And then to hear Jonathan Karp, the CEO of Simon & Schuster, talk about what I think is one of the most amazing parts of that. And that is that the demand for diversity in publishing is coming from within. It's within the employee base. It's in the workforce. They are saying to their executive now, you must help us do this. We have to get it better. And this is the best energy possible, because it's not coming from the top down. It's coming from the grassroots of publishing itself. So that to me was thrilling too. I think we've made a step. We've gotten a step farther down the road in terms of our international understanding of the diversity imperative, and for how it's actually being driven by our own people. That's very exciting. It was a great week. It was terrific.
Yeah, Juergen, do you have a follow-up? Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share about this year's fair?
Yeah, it's been a great week, but the things leading up to this fair, this has been very difficult for all of us, not only in publishing, for everybody in the world. And for somebody like me, who used to travel a lot and meet people, and it's been a difficult year, And now having had this digital experiment, still, I would love to travel again and see the people in person.
And I was going to ask you about my frequent flyer points, Juergen. How do I get those from this fair now?
That's a nice idea. Yeah, we have to collect these ideas.
I'm in deep Delta withdrawal here.
Our digital offering, the more miles you get.
I like it.
Yeah, that's right. Can we rack up airline miles for watching videos on
we
the Frankfurt
work
website?
On that.
No, I agree. I hope that we're able to see each other again soon. This is, it's great that we have Zoom and this technology to connect, but it's really not the same. So Anyway, thank you both so much for taking time after what's been a very busy week and a very long few months leading up to this. And we're looking forward to see what's next from the Frankfurt Book Fair.
Thank you so much.
Hannah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juergen. Good to
Take
see you.
care.
Thanks.
Yeah.